Hi, my name is Lauren Whalen, and for my senior capstone project, I decided to do a TED Talk presentation. And I titled my presentation, Our Magnificent Minds, with the intent of teaching and raising awareness of the amazing capabilities we humans can possess using our minds. So I want to first start off by getting all of you viewers thinking, and I want you to think about your past and think about all the experiences you've ever been through and think about how they made you feel. For example, it could be an email, a text message, a conversation, a gift, anything. I just want you to think of something. It could be from this morning or yesterday or 10 years ago. But I want you to get in tune and realize that everything you're going to encounter is going to give you an emotion, and you're going to get physical feelings from the emotions. So a couple examples I mentioned. So like on the positive end, say you receive an email from your dream job and you get an even higher salary than you thought. You're going to look at that email, you're going to get excited, you're going to be joyful, you're going to be happy, you're going to feel at peace that all your hard work paid off, and you're going to get you're physically going to feel happy and excited, and you're going to feel good. Versus on the other hand, say, for example, you just received a call and somebody you love got into like a bad accident. Immediately your emotions are going to be fear, maybe anger, why did that happen? Or maybe even guilt, oh, maybe if I drove them, this wouldn't have happened. You're going to turn to all the negative emotions which make you feel physically bad. Fear, it can put a pit in your stomach. You get so scared and you don't feel good. And those are just two examples, but I'm trying to prove the point that everything you do is going to give you an emotion. So segmenting onto that, I want to talk about the law of vibration. And the law of vibration states that everything in the universe is in a constant state of movement. We refer to those movements as vibrations, and the speed or rate which somebody vibrates at is called their frequency. So the only difference between one object and the next is the rate at which they are vibrating at. Like their frequency is the only thing that is different. So being that everything is vibrating, and the speed and rate we vibrate at is called frequencies, our frequency is going to be determined by the emotions we emit and essentially use in our thoughts. So good emotions and feelings are a good high frequency that vibrates very fast, versus bad emotions and feelings are bad and low frequencies that vibrate very slow. This is a frequency chart of all different emotions / feelings. So on the top is enlightenment, and that's 700 plus hertz. Peace is 600, joy is 540, love is 500, reason is 400, and so on and so forth. And as you get lower and lower, you see down here it becomes, so this is neutrality, and then it becomes to courage, pride, anger, fear, grief, guilt, shame. All of those emotions vibrate so low. And so you measure these emotions in hertz, and hertz is it's Hz, the abbreviation for it. And the number of hertz equals the number of seconds per cycle. So it's basically enlightenment, that vibration, 700 cycles per second, versus shame, 20 cycles. That's low, not a good vibration that you want to be at. So this is the scale of all the different ones. These are obviously lower frequencies versus higher frequencies. And you want to emit the highest frequencies because those are what are going to make you feel physically good, those feelings. The negative ones, you feel physically bad. So, us humans, I want to talk about how we were originally designed. And I'm going to reference these two books I relied heavily on. This one's called Switch on Your Brain by Caroline Leaf. It's a great book. I totally recommend it. And this is called The Secret. And this is also a very great book. But what I'm about to say right now comes from Switch on Your Brain. And I love this book because the beginning of each chapter has a title and then a little blurb on the top, and it says main scripture, and then underneath is linked science concept. So this author, she won't put something as valid in her head unless there is something from the Bible and something that God has said to back it up, essentially. But the main scripture says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. The science-linked concept is, science shows we are wired for love with a natural optimism bias. This means exactly what the scripture says above. So it's very self-explanatory. We humans are wired for love and positivity because it makes us feel good. Why would we be wired for something that makes us feel bad? That just doesn't make sense. So the negative emotions, the fear, the shame, the anxiety, that's not normal, first of all. Another quote from the book that I love, science and scripture both show that we are wired for love and optimism. So when we react by thinking negatively and making negative choices, the quality of our thinking suffers, which means the quality of our brain architecture suffers. It's both comforting and challenging to know that negative thinking is not the norm. And by that, it's comforting because when you have those negative thoughts, you realize this isn't supposed to be how I should be thinking right now, and you could proactively rewire your thoughts to change them to be positive, which make you feel good. And so that's why it's comforting, and why it's challenging is because yet it works and it's real, it's difficult and time consuming, and it's something that needs to be implemented every day for you to see results. So when we talk about free will, I'm going to say we have the choice to do whatever we want to do, and that's just a fact. If I decide right now I want to go build a house, I have the ability, I can go do that. What we think in here, we can exude in the real world. We have the choices to do whatever we want, essentially. But previously when I mentioned everything in the world will give you feelings on the first slide, that is true, but to be blunt, although you get feelings from everything, you can control your reactions to those situations. For example, the two that I mentioned, somebody who could get that amazing email about that job that isn't the most positive thinker, even though it's such a happy, good thing that had just happened, their brain can go straight to, oh, but what if I'm not good enough? What if I get fired? What if they don't like me? Why are you even gonna go there? You know what I mean? You're gonna use your energy anyways, at least focus it in a positive way to some extent. And even the negative example I said before, say you get a call but somebody you love got into an accident, whatever. For example, the natural response that I said the example of is you're gonna get scared, you're gonna get anxiety. That's just what usually happens, you know? But you have the choice. You are the one choosing to have that negativity and fear. You can, when you hear those things, be like, it's gonna be okay. I trust, I believe, I am thankful it's going to be okay. And that's basically the same thing, just one aspect is worrying and the other side is just being positive and kind of speaking the positivity into existence to some extent. But, so a quote that I have from my book again is, reaction is the key word here. You cannot control the events or circumstances of your life, but you can control your reactions. And controlling those reactions is the difference between healthy minds and bodies and sick minds and bodies. I'm gonna get a little bit deeper into that so you understand it more. But essentially what I'm saying is your reaction is key. You have the choice to react how you want. We can't always control what happens to us in life, but we can control our reactions. And those reactions change our physical brain structure and our choices as well. So the next part I want our DNA. And this is more of a general slide, just explaining how it happens, but thinking both in a positive way will change your DNA, and thinking both in a negative way can also change your DNA. But these are just some of my favorite quotes that I'll back this up from my book. And it says, research shows that DNA actually changes shape according to our thoughts. DNA can change in a positive way, which is essentially healing, if you implement positive thoughts, actions, and choices. On the other hand, DNA can change in a negative way, which would essentially be sickness that manifests in the body, if you choose to implement the negative, toxic thoughts, actions, and choices. But you have the choice to choose how you want to act. So it's better to choose the positive. This is something from the main scripture as well. You are designed to stand outside yourself and observe your own thinking and change it. We have the ability to do that. People think that we can't control our choices, we can't control our thoughts. Yes, you can. Something I always kind of like tell myself, like, I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness behind my thoughts. I could have a thought to go jump off a bridge. That doesn't mean Lauren Whalen actually wants to jump off a bridge, nor am I going to do that, you know? That's a thought. You're going to get subconscious thoughts throughout the day. We have about 70,000 thoughts a day. It's very hard to control each single one of them, but I'm just trying to explain that we aren't our thoughts. We are just the awareness behind them. We don't need to blindly follow them. We could take in the thought, think about it for a sec, think, is this actually something that serves me and is gonna make me feel good, or is it gonna make me feel bad? And you can take a second to think about that thought and change how you want to change your choice and your actions. Another quote, each morning when you wake up, you have baby nerve cells born inside your brain to use wisely as you remove bad thoughts and wire in new ones. So God has given us every day, He gives us the chance to renew our minds. And that was mentioned many times in this book. And they brought in the science aspect as well, because a lot of people don't believe in just the spiritual aspect. So I loved how she backed both things up with each other. But this was probably the most important quote that I read in here, and people are going to be mind-boggled by it. But research shows that 75 to 98% of mental, physical, and behavioral illnesses come from one's thought life, which means only 2 to 25% of mental and physical illnesses actually comes from environment or genes. 75 to 98% is what we manifest in our own bodies because of our thoughts. You can manifest sickness if you are constantly focusing, I don't want to get sick, I don't want to get this disease, that disease, whatever. The universe doesn't hear I don't want, it just hears this, and you're going to attract it into your life. It's like the law of gravity. It doesn't matter if you're a good or a bad person. If you jump off a bridge, you are going to fall. It's just a law, and it happens. So your choices change your brain. The main script, this is another example. From the main scripture, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. The science-linked concept to this. Through our thoughts, we can be our own microsurgeons as we make choices that will change the circuits in our brain. We are designed to do our own brain surgery and rewire our brains by thinking and choosing to renew our minds. And this book mentions it also a couple times that we're designed to be our own mini brain surgeons. Every day you wake up and throughout your day, if you are constantly implementing those positive thoughts and choices and actions, you are going to change, first of all, your DNA, your brain structure, and how you physically feel in life and in the world in a positive way. So I just talked about how it changes our DNA. Now I want to talk about how toxic thinking specifically will impact your brain. So toxic thinking will change your brain wiring in a negative direction and throw your mind and body into stress. Negative thinking leads to stress, which affects our body's natural healing tendencies. Oh my goodness. And then this was from a study in the book about negative versus positive thinking and the effect it has on your brain. And they actually did this study and hooked up the participants' brains essentially, with all this technology, and you can measure out the thoughts and the frequencies that those thoughts and emotions emit and how they affect your body. But it says, this study shows that thinking and feeling anger, fear, and frustration cause DNA to change shape according to the thoughts and feelings. The DNA responded by tightening up and becoming shorter, which was switching off many DNA codes, which reduced the quality expression. So we feel shut down by negative emotions, and our body also feels this too. Negative emotions, you feel a negative feeling in your body. It manifests. What you think of here comes out in the real world. And this is just proving that it's not only affecting how we feel, but our inner body. When your mind is not at ease, you create disease in the body. That's something from one of the other books I read. This guy said, your mind and your body are just at dis-ease. That's what disease is, dis-ease. You're not at ease because your mind is being ravaged by the negative, and that's coming through in your physical body. So on the other hand, which is very positive thinking and their impacts. This was also from the study and the results that they found. This is continuing. It says, but here's the great part. The negative shutdown or poor quality of the DNA codes was completely reversed by feelings of love, joy, appreciation, and gratitude. Which the takeaway here is that when we operate in our normal love design, we are wired for love and optimism. When we operate in our normal love design, which is being made in God's image, how He made us, we are able to change the shape of our DNA for the better, which essentially heals us and our mind and our physical body. It also says, the most exciting part of this study was the hope it demonstrated because the positive attitude, the good choices, rewired everything back to the original healthy, positive state. These scientists basically proved that we can renew our minds, which we can. This is a little clip that was in my book, The Secret, but it was also turned into a documentary, and I want to show this one clip, and it's about healing yourself with your mind. And this lady had breast cancer, and completely gone, the breast cancer, just with her mind. I'm going to show you this little video, and then we'll keep going.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I truly believe I was diagnosed on November 23rd. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I truly believed in my heart, with my strong faith, that I was already healed. During the day, all day long, I would just say, thank you for my healing. On and on and on I went, thank you for my healing. I believed in my heart I was healed. I saw myself as if cancer was never in my body. One of the things I did to heal myself was to watch very funny movies. That's all we would do, is just laugh, laugh, laugh. We couldn't afford to put any stress in my life because we knew stress was one of the worst things you can do while you're trying to heal yourself. From the time I was diagnosed, which was November 23rd, to the time I was healed totally was approximately 3 months. And that's without radiation and chemotherapy.
This is a great secret of life.
So that lady essentially healed her she had breast cancer, and it was completely gone out of her body without any chemotherapy or radiation. That in itself, it's a cure to cancer. That's what's so mind-boggling to me, is that people are just like, they don't believe it. But there's so much proof and personal stories of people, but sometimes it's not enough. I don't know. You can choose if you want to believe it. But that is how she did it. And now I want to just talk about my personal experience of how I healed my mind. So I've done this for multiple things in my life before, but the biggest one I want to talk about right now is that I used to hit those little vapes, the nicotine. I did it in high school one time, the end of high school, and then I came to college and I started doing it. And it was something that hurt my mind, my body, my soul, my money, and just lowered my vibration very bad. It was something that completely ravaged my mind, and it made me feel horrible. And that's one of the things that I do to differentiate if something's like meant for me or not, is it making you feel good or bad? It's as simple as that. If it feels good, something that's good for you and meant for you is gonna make you feel good. If something is always making you feel bad and hurting your mind and your soul, it doesn't serve you anymore. You gotta cut it out. And all it did was hurt me, so obviously I need to cut it out, but it was very difficult for me to some extent. But I had seen that documentary. Well, I read the book first, The Secret, and then I watched the documentary and I saw that lady, and she totally inspired me with her story. And that's essentially how I healed my mind from wiring the toxic thoughts of hitting those vapes. I wired it completely out in probably in like a couple months, like two months probably. But I had been doing it for like 4 years essentially, and today I'm like 130 something days I haven't done it, and I don't even think about it at all. Like, it really affected me bad. It was one of the first things I thought about in the morning. It just shows something should not be in control of your mind. Your mind needs to be stronger than your emotions and your feelings. But I did it for a while, and I just started to, when I saw that lady, we were home for break and I was completely clear-headed, wasn't doing anything, and I just kept trying to wire out the negative thoughts and wire in the positive thoughts. So I would continuously say thank you for my healing, how she did in that video, and I would say that all the time. I would say, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm nicotine-free. I'm nicotine-free. Thank you for my strength and my healing. Thank you for continuously giving me strength. Just putting those positive thoughts out there, and just, your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's fake. So whatever you tell it, it's gonna essentially think is real. So by me continuously wiring those thoughts in, your brain just begins to believe it. To some extent, you keep telling yourself something, you're gonna believe it, you know? So I just continuously wired in those positive thoughts, and also spoke about them as if they had already happened, as if it was like, thank you for letting me be nicotine free, thank you for making me completely off of it, thank you for, I would just speak it as if it was. And another huge key, she said she would watch a ton of movies and laugh, because laughing feels amazing. It's great for your soul. It's a great frequency to emit, you know? It's joy, love, laughter, it's amazing. So when I would have, anytime I would just be with my friends or my family and have a great laugh, that frequency, that laugh, that amazing feeling is getting sent out into the universe. So when I would have those huge laughs, I would immediately say, thank you for my healing. Thank you for giving me the strength to quit nicotine. Thank you for getting out of my life. Just so that thought and like saying was being linked with that amazing positive laughter feeling. So that's what was going on in the universe, essentially. So that was just like a little key of how I did that, because a lot of the times people try and heal themselves, but they're not. You need to be on the same frequency of what you're trying to do to actually obtain what you want. For example, say I'm just saying, oh, thank you for my healing, but I'm not actually feeling like thank you, like feeling gratitude. Gratitude is an amazing frequency to emit. If I'm not actually feeling that and I'm just like, thanks for my healing, but the actual emotion is fear that I won't be healed, it's fear. So thanks for my healing, but then the emotion fear is with it. So that's not getting sent out as a positive healing frequency. It's actually a negative one. So that's why people don't see their results in this world, because they'll preach all these things, but then they're not correlating the emotion and feeling you need to have with it, which is really very important. This is a feelings universe, completely. So, oh, and I also just wanted to mention that our brains are very, very flexible, and previous studies in the years, even me growing up, oh, our brains, they can't change. If you get a disease, you're done for life, you can't do anything about it. But that has completely been disproven, and we can change our brains, and they're very flexible, and we could wire in the positive thoughts and wire out the negative thoughts. A little quote that I love from the book that I always say: if you wire the toxic thought in, you could wire the toxic thought out. And it's so true. These things that affect us in this world, I wasn't born as a baby like hitting that little vape. No, I wired the negative thoughts in by continuously doing it and choosing to do it, which hurt me and my mind and my body and soul. But on the reverse end, when I brought in the love, the thankfulness, the gratitude for my healing, that reversed all the negative thoughts that I had subconsciously put into my brain. You need to be aware, and your subconscious is so powerful because you don't even notice it. Things just happen and they're just subconscious thoughts. Underneath, they're not thoughts that you are implementing yourself right now. So when those thoughts would come in, I would just have to completely change it to a positive thought. For example, say you were saying, I would say things like, if just you're going away, you want to stay healthy, get home safe, whatever. My version would to say, thank you for my protection, thank you for my healing, thank you for my health, thank you for my wealth. It would be, I speak things into existence, versus on the other end, like sometimes my mom would be, I don't want to get sick, I don't want this to happen, I'm like, Mom, what you were saying, I don't want to get sick, and thank you for my healing is the exact same thing. The result is you want to be healthy, right? So those two things, this end, I don't want to be sick, I don't want to be sick, that's just negativity, and just basically, please don't let me be sick, versus thank you for my healing. It's the same thought essentially, just one's negative and one's positive. So all we do is walk around all day, waste our energy, talk to people, have feelings, waste more energy. The point I'm trying to prove is we're just doing that, wasting energy. At least waste it in a positive way, because it will affect you in a positive way. It will affect your brain in a positive way, the structure of it, how you feel about your life, yourself, just everything. Being positive, it sounds stupid, but it's very, very real. The most important thing when you're trying to either heal yourself or rewire your brain and get those toxic thoughts out is consistency. Consistency is key. You cannot just have one positive thought or implement that one positive thought one day and then you're healed. No, that's not how it works. You need to implement those positive thoughts every day, day in and day out, and just as much as you remember to is what I would do essentially, because one good thought is not changing all bad thoughts that you wired in. And when I think back on my life, there's been times where I've felt more enlightened versus less enlightened. And I feel great right now, but I don't feel as great as I did a year or two ago when I first started this journey, and I wired in self-love and confidence, and I would just talk to myself and speak to things as if they were. And it's hard because rewiring your brain is difficult. It's time consuming, but it's real and it works. So if you want to see the results, you need to put in the time, effort, and energy. But it's possible and you can do it. Another thing is, things that make you feel good, it's kind of just instant gratification versus long-term gratification. Things that feel good in the moment hurt your mind and your body after, because it's just instant gratification versus things that may hurt in the moment. For example, eating healthy, like, oh, you didn't want to eat the salad, you wanted the burger. You ate the salad, but you feel better after from eating the salad versus the burger, or going to work out. Oh, you're trying to get yourself to work out. Maybe it's painful, you just want to stop, but you feel great after because it's long-term gratification. The instant gratification, which for me would be just hitting the nicotine, just wanting to feel something in that moment, feel good in that moment. No, you actually hurt yourself 10 times more in the long run, Lauren, because you just wired in all those negative toxic thoughts. Strive for long-term gratification. It makes you feel better, and having control over your mind is very important. Your mind is stronger than your emotions. That's something I always want to say. My mind is stronger than my emotions. When you're in bed and you're sleeping, and you're on your phone, your brain's telling you, get up, go start your day, make your bed. But it's your emotions, your mind is telling you to do what's best, but your emotions are what keep you in bed. Oh, but I'm tired. Oh, but it's warm in here. Oh, but 10 more minutes. Your mind needs to be stronger than your emotions. Or else your emotions can just take precedent, and you don't want that. You're the creator of your own universe. Last thing I want to say is you are not a victim of your genes and your biology. You can heal yourself with your mind. That's something the book mentions a lot. It's don't be afraid if, say, God forbid, you have Parkinson's in your family, or, Tourette's, Down syndrome, God forbid, any of those things. You don't want to be discouraged that you are going to just attract that in your life because it's a part of your genes, you're hereditary. No, we are not a victim of our biology and genes. We have the power to heal our minds and renew them every single day. But it takes hard work, consistency, and positive thoughts, affirmations, and wiring those positive thoughts in. But it's possible. You can do it.